Welcome to today's transformation dive into conquering financial inertia. You know, sometimes it feels like managing money is less about math and more about competitive anxiety. Everyone online seems to be living their best life on a yacht made of gold bars, while you're calculating if instant noodles count as a balanced meal for the fifth night in a row. It's almost like there's a secret money club you weren't invited to, and the membership fee is apparently a lifetime supply of confusion and regret. Well, spoiler alert, the secret club doesn't exist, and the golden yacht is probably leased. This channel, Earn Flow Zone, isn't about quick fix fantasies. It's about building real, sustainable wealth and a powerful mindset. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that cuts through the noise and actually helps you build the life you want, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think in getting this message out. Also, I love hearing from you. Drop a comment with where you're watching from, or your biggest money habit win, no matter how small you think it is. It inspires everyone else. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. All right, Section 1. Stuck? You're not alone. You open your banking app, and maybe you flinch a little. It's okay. You've been avoiding it, haven't you? Or maybe you check it constantly, a nervous habit, hoping against hope that somehow the number will miraculously jump, but it barely budges. You look at the debt staring back at you, or the savings account that looks suspiciously like a forgotten change jar from 2008, and this heavy, sinking feeling washes over you. It's a mix of frustration, shame, and that nagging question, what am I doing wrong? You scroll through social media. You see friends or even strangers building wealth, eyeing homes, taking amazing trips, seemingly effortlessly, and the feeling intensifies. The so-called gurus shout advice from mountaintops made of affiliate links. Just budget, they say, or just invest, as if personal finance is as easy as flipping a light switch. But you've tried. Maybe you downloaded a fancy budgeting app and used it religiously for 3 days before forgetting the password. Maybe you watched a YouTube video on stocks that used terms like bear market and dividend yield and felt instantly overwhelmed, clicking away, feeling even more inadequate. Or perhaps you've told yourself the classic lie, you'll start saving when I get that raise, or when things settle down. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Things rarely, if ever, truly settle down. Life throws curveballs. Unexpected expenses pop up. Waiting for a big break, a windfall, or the perfect moment is a recipe for staying exactly where you are. Stuck. You might even believe the persistent myth that you need a massive income or some kind of inheritance to start making real progress. You see money as this huge, immovable, intimidating object, like a brick wall, and you feel like just one tiny person pushing against it, making no dent. The feeling is universal. You feel stuck, frustrated, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit defeated. But here's a powerful, liberating truth. The biggest barrier isn't your income. Not in most cases anyway. People earning 6 figures are often just as broke, if not more so, than someone earning far less. The real enemy isn't a lack of money. It's the inertia. It's the resistance to starting, to taking that first, often uncomfortable step. It's like trying to push a car from a dead stop on a slight incline. It takes a massive initial effort, but once it starts rolling, it gets easier. Here's a core concept that shifts everything. Financial growth isn't about having more money to begin with. It's about changing your relationship with the money you do have right now. It's a mindset shift from scarcity and avoidance to intentionality and action. A surprising fact? Many financially successful people didn't start with high incomes or inherited wealth. They started with small, consistent actions and a willingness to change their habits and beliefs around money. They busted the myth that you need a lot to start. They proved you just need to start. This leads to a powerful habit, micro-action. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire financial life in one go, which feels overwhelming and feeds inertia, focus on one tiny, almost ridiculously small step. Try this for a week. Just track every single purchase you make. No judgment, no budgeting. Just write it down in a note on your phone or a small notebook. That's it. Don't analyze. Don't panic. Just observe. This one habit changed everything for me because it removed the emotional weight and turned it into a simple, objective task. It builds awareness without demanding immediate perfection. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from doing just this one small thing? Is it fear of what you'll see? Or just the habit of not doing it? Identifying that blockage is the first step to pushing past the inertia. What is money momentum? Okay, so you've decided to step into your earn flow zone, but how do you move from wanting change to actually creating it? It starts with understanding something powerful, something that feels almost magical, but is rooted purely in action: money momentum. Think about pushing a heavy car on a flat road. Have you ever tried that? The initial push is absolutely the hardest part. Your muscles strain. You might feel like you're barely budging it, maybe even question if it's possible. It requires maximum effort just to get that mass to budge, maybe just an inch or two at first. It's frustratingly slow, right? But once it starts rolling, even slowly, something shifts. The resistance lessens. You need less sheer effort to keep it moving. And here's where the magic of momentum kicks in. With each subsequent push, with each consistent bit of effort, it picks up speed. It gets easier to maintain the roll, and stopping it becomes harder. That's money momentum, perfectly illustrated. It's not about the amount of money you start with, just like the car's weight is fixed. It's the force you build through consistent action that makes managing, growing, and even attracting money feel easier over time. It's the classic snowball effect, but applied to your financial life. Imagine a tiny snowball, maybe just a handful of packed snow. You roll it downhill. Initially, it picks up snow slowly. It's small, maybe a little wobbly, but as it rolls, it naturally gathers more snow, gets bigger, and because it's heavier and faster, it gathers snow even more efficiently. It accelerates. Eventually, its own weight and speed are doing most of the work, creating massive results from that tiny start. Your money works the exact same way. You, the driver or the initial roller, provide the initial push, that difficult first effort, and keep it rolling with consistent habit. Eventually, its own structure and speed create massive results you couldn't achieve with just one giant push. This isn't some abstract financial theory. It's behavioral physics applied directly to your finances. People often wait for a big bonus, a significant inheritance, or winning the lottery to start getting serious about money. They think they need a massive starting capital to build anything meaningful. That's a myth waiting to be busted. The surprising fact is that momentum isn't about the size of the object, your bank account at the start. It's about applying consistent force. You don't wait for momentum to magically appear in your life or your bank account. You create it through deliberate, repeated action. The core concept here is that small, consistent financial habits, applied over time, build an unstoppable force that makes future financial progress almost inevitable. It's like trying to learn a new skill. The first few hours are awkward and slow, but with practice, you reach a flow state where progress feels natural and fast. Here's a simple prompt for action. Ask yourself, what's the smallest possible push you could give your finances today? Maybe it's setting up an automatic transfer of $5 to savings. Maybe it's tracking one category of spending for a week. Maybe it's simply opening a budgeting app you've been ignoring. This one habit, the habit of initiating some positive action, no matter how small, starts building that crucial initial momentum. All right, so you've identified areas you want to improve. Maybe even envisioned what financial freedom looks like for you. But then, FUD, you feel the weight of that financial car you want to push forward, and it feels impossibly heavy. You tell yourself, I need more help, or maybe I need a better strategy, or even the conditions aren't perfect yet. This, my friends, is the inertia trap. It's the sneaky little voice that convinces you to spend 3 evenings researching the perfect budgeting software with all the bells and whistles, instead of just tracking one expense with a note on your phone. It's waiting for the market to be just right, or for you to have a lump sum of cash before saving your first $100, instead of just setting up an automatic transfer of $5 a week. We fall into the belief that because the goal is massive, building wealth, paying off huge debt, achieving financial independence, the first step must also be equally huge, complicated, and overwhelming. This is simply not true, and honestly, it's where most people trip and never get back up. Think about starting a new fitness routine. Do you plan a full marathon training schedule before you've even put on your running shoes? Of course not. You put on the shoes. Maybe walk to the end of the block. You start with one bicep curl, not planning out your entire weight progression for a year. The same principle applies to your finances. You don't need the perfect investment strategy to save your first dollar, or the perfect debt payoff plan to make an extra payment this month. You just need to start. Here's the surprising, almost annoying truth. The effort required to take that first, tiny step is often 90% of the entire battle. It's not the physical or logistical effort. It's the mental barrier. It's the fear of starting imperfectly, the paralysis of analyzing a million options, the sheer overwhelm of looking at the entire mountain you need to climb, instead of just focusing on the first foothill. People are waiting for motivation to strike like lightning before they move. But that's like waiting to feel warm before putting on a coat in winter. It doesn't work that way. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. Momentum is built through movement, not planning. You break inertia with action, not analysis paralysis. Consider this. What if you committed to just one tiny financial action this week? Not a big one, just one. Track one type of expense. Transfer $10 to a savings account. Read one page of a personal finance book. The cause effect here is powerful. Taking that small action immediately reduces the mental weight. It proves to yourself that you can start. That small win generates a tiny spark of motivation, which makes the next tiny step feel slightly easier. It builds momentum. Try this for a week. Identify the absolute smallest first step towards a financial goal you have. Make it so small it feels almost silly not to do it. Then just do that one thing, daily or weekly, for 7 days. Ask yourself, what is the tiniest action I could take today? This one habit, focusing only on the immediate, smallest step, changed everything for me when I felt completely stuck. Welcome to today's Transformation Dive, here at Earn Flow Zone, where we're not just talking about making money, we're talking about making progress, real, tangible shifts in your financial life and your overall well-being. Let's be honest. Scrolling through feeds showing perfect lives and instant riches can make your own financial situation feel, well, a bit stuck. Like you're trying to push a car uphill with a flat tire. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, paralyzed by the sheer scale of your goals, or the mountains of debt, or simply the inertia of sticking to the same old habits that aren't serving you. You watch videos, you read articles, you know what you should be doing, but actually doing it? That feels like scaling Everest in flip-flops. The good news is, you don't need a miracle or a winning lottery ticket to get moving. You just need a starting point. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that cuts through the noise and gives you practical steps you can implement today, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps the Earn Flow Zone community grow and reach more people who are ready to take control of their financial future, way more than you think. Seriously, it's a tiny push for you, a big boost for us. Also, I'd love to know who's joining the conversation today. Drop a comment below with where you're watching from, or share your biggest money habit win, no matter how small you think it is. We're building a community of doers here. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success, starting with the power of just getting started. You know the feeling. You have this massive financial goal. Maybe it's saving $10,000 for a down payment, or crushing $30,000 in credit card debt, or finally building up a proper emergency fund. You look at the numbers, and they loom over you like a financial Mount Everest. The sheer scale of it feels impossible. Trying to save $500 this week when you're living paycheck to paycheck? Forget it. Committing to tackling that mountain of debt all at once? It's enough to make you want to pull the covers over your head and pretend it doesn't exist. People often underestimate the power of inertia, that pesky resistance to change, that gravitational pull keeping you exactly where you are, even if it's uncomfortable. Breaking that inertia requires a deliberate act, a first push, even if it feels incredibly awkward or uncomfortable at first. But here's the core concept. The first action doesn't need to be big. It just needs to happen. Imagine you want to save that $10,000. Trying to save $500 this week feels overwhelming, right? But finding one unused subscription to cancel? That $15 or $20 a month adds up. Or committing to not buy that $5 coffee today? Just one day. That feels possible, doesn't it? That's the tiny push. Think about someone overwhelmed by debt. They felt paralyzed, buried under bills. They didn't start by creating a complex 10-year repayment plan. They started by finding one bill they could slightly reduce by adjusting their usage, or they made one single, nerve-wracking phone call to one creditor to simply ask about their options. They didn't solve everything in that moment, but they moved. They took the first step out of the quicksand of inaction. Here's the surprising insight, the myth bust that changes everything. The psychological victory of taking that first tiny step. No matter how small, its immediate financial impact is often vastly more valuable than the initial money saved or debt reduced. Why? Because it proves to yourself unequivocally that you can act. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. You shifted from passive wishing and worrying to active doing. It's like trying to start a stalled car by yourself. You can push with all your might and barely budge it, but give it just a tiny roll forward on a slight incline, and suddenly, with consistent pressure, you can get it rolling. That initial budge was the hardest part. The tiny action is that crucial first budge. This one habit, focusing on the smallest possible first step, changed everything for me when I felt stuck. It built momentum where there was none. It silenced the "I can't" voice, just for a moment, long enough to prove it wrong. So here is your immediate action. What is the single easiest financial action you could take in the next 5 minutes? Not what should you do or what's the most impactful thing. What is the absolute easiest? Is it checking the balance on one account? Finding one bill? Putting $10 into a savings account? Unsubscribing from one marketing email that tempts you to spend? Sending one quick email you've been putting off? Do it. Now. Don't overthink it. Just make the tiny push. Okay, take a breath. You did it. Or maybe you're just about to. That feeling, that small sense of accomplishment, hold on to that. Because that tiny push, that single easiest action, is the most powerful catalyst you have. It's not about the magnitude of the step, but the momentum it creates. It's the first domino. And once you knock over that first tiny domino, you realize the next one isn't quite so daunting. You build a micro habit of taking action, and that is where the real transformation begins. The big takeaway today is deceptively simple. Start small, start now. Don't wait for motivation or a perfect plan or a huge chunk of time. Just take the absolute easiest, most insignificant step you can identify in your financial life. The potential long-term benefit of this simple act is immense. That single tiny push breaks the inertia. It proves to yourself you can act, and it builds the crucial muscle of taking action. This isn't just about money, it's about discipline, self-efficacy, and building confidence in your ability to change your circumstances. Here's a deeper insight about money, discipline, and growth. Your actions are a reflection of your beliefs about yourself and your situation. Taking a tiny action, even one that seems insignificant financially, is a powerful way to change your internal narrative from "I am stuck and helpless" to "I am capable of taking steps forward." This mindset shift, initiated by that tiny push, is the true engine of long-term financial and personal growth. It's not about having a perfect plan. It's about having the courage to start imperfectly, one tiny push at a time. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Okay, so you've got the car moving. Maybe you've taken that initial step, made that one big decision to get started. But here's where many people stumble, and where the real speed in earn flow zone is built. It's not about Herculean shoves now. It's about consistent, smaller pushes. This is where the magic of habits kicks in. Momentum isn't built through one-off sprints that leave you breathless and questioning your sanity. It's forged brick by brick through repetition. Think of it like training for a marathon, not just a single sprint to the mailbox. You wouldn't wake up one morning and try to run 26 miles without any prior training, right? You build endurance and speed day by day, mile by mile. This is a core concept that impacts virtually every area of personal finance and growth. Consistency over intensity. You see this play out all the time. Consider the person who decides overnight, okay, I'm going to cut my spending by 50% starting now. They last maybe a week, feel deprived, resentful, and then bounce back to their old habits, maybe even worse off because they felt like a failure. Contrast that with someone who decides, okay, this month I'm just going to track how much I spend on eating out using a simple note on my phone or a free app. They consistently log each purchase. At the end of the month, they have a clear picture. They might see they spent $400 on dining out and think, wow, okay, maybe I could pack lunch just 2 days a week. That small, consistent tracking habit builds awareness, and that awareness leads to a small, sustainable adjustment. The tracker builds a lasting habit and gains genuine insight. The sprinter burns out spectacularly, often with nothing to show for it but frustration. And here's a surprising truth that challenges the go big or go home mentality many of us are sold. Small, consistent actions compound into massive results far more reliably than infrequent, large efforts. It's statistically, psychologically, and practically easier to save $10 every single week, building the habit, reinforcing the behavior, than it is to save $500 once a year when you get a bonus or tax refund. Why? Because the weekly action becomes automated. It requires less willpower each time. The $500 lump sum feels like a sacrifice, a one-time drain. The tiny action builds a muscle. The big one feels like lifting a piano. The cause-effect is crystal clear. Consistency reduces decision fatigue. When tracking your lunch spending becomes as automatic as brushing your teeth, okay, maybe almost as automatic, you don't have to expend energy deciding whether to track or how to cut back drastically. You just do it. And the small insights or small savings accumulate almost effortlessly over time. It's like social media algorithms. Posting consistently, even short updates, builds engagement better than one viral post every 6 months. This consistent engagement keeps the algorithm happy and keeps your content seen. The same applies to your finances. Consistent attention keeps your financial algorithm working in your favor. So, the action here is simple but potent. Try this for a week. Identify one tiny financial habit you can commit to doing for the next 7 days. Just one. It could be checking your bank account balance daily, literally just logging in for 30 seconds. It could be tracking every single dollar you spend on lunch. It could be saving just $1, yes, $1, into a separate high-yield savings account each day. This one habit changed everything for me because it shifted my focus from the overwhelming goal to the manageable daily action. It's not about the size of the action, it's about the rhythm. What's stopping you from trying just one tiny beat? Okay, let's expand the provided Section 6 outline into a detailed script segment, incorporating the specified style, requirements, and constraints. Section 6. Handling friction. Life happens and stops momentum. You're building momentum. You've cut back on spending. Maybe you've even paid off a small debt or saved your first $100. You feel the progress, that rolling forward motion we talked about. And then, bam, life happens. Your car makes a funny noise that the mechanic says is definitely not funny. A surprise medical bill shows up in the mail. Or perhaps you face a job transition you didn't see coming. These moments, we call them friction points. Think of your financial journey like a car rolling down a gentle slope. It picks up speed, momentum builds. But life throws in speed bumps, potholes, or even unexpected hills. This friction isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong or that the universe is conspiring against you. It's simply inevitable. It's like expecting to walk across town without encountering a single crack in the pavement, or a red light. It just doesn't happen. The real danger here isn't the obstacle itself. A car repair doesn't instantly bankrupt most people. A single medical bill isn't the end of the world. The true threat is letting that friction completely derail your carefully built momentum. It's letting that bump send you spinning off the road and back into inertia, back to zero progress, or even worse, back into debt. People often underestimate how fragile momentum can be, especially in the beginning. The person who has managed to save $500 has built not just a financial buffer, but a habit buffer. When a $300 unexpected expense hits, yes, it dips into their savings, but they still have $200 left. And critically, their habit of saving, their belief that they can save, remains intact. They absorb the hit and can relatively easily restart building from $200. Now, contrast that with the person who was still at zero. That $300 expense doesn't just wipe out savings they didn't have. It often feels insurmountable. It can shatter nascent confidence and reinforce a feeling of helplessness, making it incredibly hard to even try saving again. It sends them right back to the starting line, demoralized. Here's the surprising insight that often gets missed. Building even a very small financial buffer, and I'm talking even $100, creates resilience that protects your momentum as much as it protects your money. It's like installing a tiny shock absorber on your financial journey. That $100 isn't going to cover a major crisis, but it can cover a minor one. That unexpected copay, a flat tire repair, replacing a broken appliance plug. By handling that small hit with a small fund, you prevent it from requiring a credit card swipe, adding debt friction, or dipping into money allocated for essential bills, creating payment friction elsewhere. More importantly, you prove to yourself that you can handle unexpected things without everything falling apart. You maintain your sense of control and keep that vital momentum rolling. It prevents one irritating setback from completely shattering your confidence and stopping you cold, making you think, what's the point? This one habit changed everything for me. Recognizing that friction is guaranteed shifted my focus from avoiding problems, impossible, to building resilience, possible. The core concept here is proactive protection of your progress. So, here's the action I want you to take, starting today. Commit to building what I call a friction fund. It's just a simple emergency fund, but giving it a name like this reminds you why it exists. To handle the bumps. Try this for a week. Find $5 to $10 that you can set aside specifically for this fund. Seriously, look for it. Can you skip that extra coffee? Can you pack your lunch one more day? Can you sell something small you don't need? That $5 or $10 isn't about fixing a major problem down the road. It's about starting the habit of building resilience. It's about proving to yourself that you can initiate this protective layer. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from finding just $5 this week to create this crucial safety net for your momentum? This tiny step is your first line of defense against life's inevitable friction. Okay, you've built momentum. The snowball is rolling, picking up snow, getting bigger. But standing behind it, constantly pushing, that's exhausting. This is where you shift gears. This is where you become an accelerator. This section is all about momentum multipliers, accelerating your role. The core concept here is leveraging your existing financial discipline and mindset shifts, the stability, the consistent habits, the reduced financial stress, to make your growth exponential. You're not just pushing the car anymore. You're starting to build the engine. These multipliers are specific strategies: investing, intentionally increasing your income, and acquiring high-value skills that pay dividends for years. Think about investing. You've built the habit of saving consistently. Now, instead of that money just sitting there, you put it to work. Even small, regular investments in things like index funds mean your money starts earning money. It's a passive power-up. It's like planting tiny seeds. Watching paint dry might be more exciting than watching your first few dividends. But trust me, they grow. And this one habit changed everything for me. Automating these investments. It happens before you even think about spending the money, adding rocket fuel to your snowball without extra effort. Then there's increasing your income through high-value skills. When you're stressed about bills, learning feels like another chore. But with financial momentum comes mental space and stability. This allows you to focus on acquiring skills that genuinely move the needle on your earning potential. Negotiation tactics, a specific software skill, digital marketing, advanced writing. These skills aren't just line items on a resume. They compound your value in the marketplace. It's like leveling up your character's stats in a game, unlocking higher-paying quests. Your existing momentum makes this learning feel less like a climb and more like a natural progression. Consider the example of the mid-earner. They automated their 401k contributions. That's a passive wealth multiplier. They used a portion of their bonus, money earned through their existing work, and likely boosted by their improving financial focus, to pay for a course to increase their earning potential. That's an active income multiplier. They use their existing position and recent success to amplify future results. Here's the surprising insight. Your existing momentum isn't just a result of past actions. It becomes a powerful tool for future growth. People often underestimate this. They think they need to start over or find a completely new path for each step. But the discipline you've built, the small financial cushion you've created, the clearer thinking that comes from less stress, that makes learning, investing, negotiating, and starting a small side hustle significantly easier and more effective than if you were doing it from a place of financial chaos. You're starting from strength, not scarcity. This phase isn't about finding one magic bullet. It's about adding fuel sources. It's about being intentional with the strength you've built. Try this for a week. Identify one way you could potentially multiply your financial momentum. Just one. Don't try to do everything. Look up, what is an index fund and how do I buy one, for 15 minutes. Or research high-income skills to learn online. Or brainstorm easy side hustle ideas based on skills you already have. Pick just one and spend a focused 15 minutes exploring it. This small action uses your existing momentum, your habit of seeking knowledge, your desire for growth, to pave the way for acceleration. You're preparing to install that engine you're building. All right, so you're building momentum. You've got the snowball rolling, the engine's humming. But just as easily as things add fuel to the fire, others can completely extinguish it, or worse, reverse your progress. We call these the momentum killers. Think of it like this. You're pushing a car up a slight incline, gaining speed, and then you strap a heavy weight to the back, or suddenly you're trying to push it through thick mud. That's what these killers do to your financial and personal momentum. High-interest debt is probably the most classic example. It's not just a static problem. It's actively working against you, day and night. Paying interest, especially credit card interest, feels like rolling that car uphill constantly. Every dollar you earn, a chunk of it has to go towards just standing still, countering the negative pull of interest instead of adding to your forward motion through savings or investments. It's a relentless drain on your resources and your energy, making every step forward feel 10 times harder. Then there's lifestyle inflation. Oh, this one is insidious because it feels like a reward. You get a raise, a promotion, or your business takes off. Great. You immediately think, time to upgrade. A nicer car payment here, a bigger apartment rent there. Maybe suddenly you're eating out more or buying pricier gadgets without a second thought. You increased your income, which should have boosted your momentum, right? But instead, you immediately increased your expenses to match or even exceed the extra income. This is adding weight to the car, making it heavier and harder to push. You increased your income, but killed your momentum for building wealth or achieving big goals because every extra dollar is already spoken for by new, higher monthly bills. It negates the extra income entirely in terms of net forward motion. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're staying in the exact same financial place relative to your potential. And sometimes, the killer is internal. Analysis paralysis, getting so caught up in finding the perfect next step that you take no step at all. Or simply returning to old, comfortable, bad habits because change is hard. Maybe you stopped budgeting for a few months, or you started mindlessly scrolling and impulse buying online again. These aren't sudden cliffs. They're gradual slowdowns that, if unchecked, bring you to a complete stop. Here's the surprising insight, the one people often underestimate. Your spending habits, especially the discretionary ones, can be powerful momentum killers, even if you earn good money. It's easy to point the finger at huge debts or mortgages, but the drip, drip, drip of daily lattes, weekly impulse buys, or those subscriptions you totally forgot about but are still paying for, that's weight you're adding unnecessarily. It's not just about making more. It's about keeping the net forward motion going, ensuring more money is flowing towards your goals than away from them. It's the small leaks that sink a big ship. So action time. Ask yourself, what's stopping you right now? Identify one potential momentum killer in your current habits. Is it that high-interest credit card balance? The unconscious habit of impulse buying online? That bundle of streaming subscriptions you barely use? Pinpoint just one. Now make a concrete plan to address it. If it's the debt, what's the smallest step you can take this week to pay a little extra? If it's impulse buys, maybe you unfollow shopping accounts on social media or implement a 24-hour rule before buying anything non-essential. This one habit changed everything for me. Consciously recognizing the small drains and plugging them one by one. Identify your killer. Make your plan. Section 9. Momentum at every level. And that brings us to a principle that really ties all this together. Something I call momentum at every level. Now, you might look at someone who's investing thousands every month or buying rental properties and think, well, they have momentum, but I'm just trying to survive. And that's where many people get stuck. They believe momentum is only for the financially established. But here's the exciting truth. The core concept we're exploring right now. The beauty of the momentum principle is that it applies no matter where you're starting from. Whether you're deep in debt, steadily growing your income, or actively building significant wealth, you can harness forward motion. Think about it like starting a heavy object, like a car on a slight incline. Getting that first push can be the hardest part, right? But once it's rolling, subsequent pushes, even smaller ones, keep it moving and gaining speed. In personal finance, your first push might look incredibly small, even insignificant, compared to where you want to be. For the beginner who feels like they're drowning in debt, momentum isn't paying off the entire balance in one go. No, momentum is finding that first $50 to pay extra on a high-interest card. It's the decisive action of canceling one subscription you never use that feels like a mini win, almost like finding money in an old coat pocket. Or it's simply tracking every single penny you spend for a week just to see where your money actually goes. These aren't huge swings, but they are pushes. They build awareness, build confidence, and start that financial flywheel turning. Now, fast forward. As you're a growing earner, maybe debt is under control and you have some breathing room. Your momentum looks different. It's increasing your investment percentages, perhaps from 5% to 10% of your income. It's making extra payments on your mortgage principal to shave years off the loan. It's deliberately funding bigger goals, like setting aside significant chunks for a down payment on a home or a future investment. The actions are bigger, the dollars are larger, but the underlying principle is identical: consistent, deliberate effort to maintain forward motion. And then you have the ambitious builder. For them, momentum is scaling those investments. Maybe moving from index funds to individual stocks or exploring private equity. It's acquiring income-generating assets like rental properties. It's building new businesses or creating new, diverse income streams. The actions are now potentially life-altering in their scale. You see the evolution from someone scraping together maybe $20 a week to put towards debt or savings, to someone consistently investing $1,000 a month and eventually exploring opportunities in real estate. Here's the surprising insight, the thing people often miss. The actions change dramatically as your situation changes. Yes, finding $50 extra when you're broke is a different ballgame than deciding where to deploy $50,000 as an investor. But the principle of consistent, deliberate effort to maintain forward motion remains exactly the same. Your first push and your consistent pushes will look drastically different depending on your current financial reality, but they are equally vital for building and sustaining momentum. You don't wait to feel like you have momentum. You create it with deliberate action, no matter the scale. Small, consistent actions build habits, build confidence, and compound over time, leading to bigger results you couldn't have imagined from the start. It's compound interest, but for your financial actions and mindset. So how do you apply this right now? Ask yourself, what does building money momentum look like for you specifically at your current income and debt level? What is the smallest, most consistent push you can make today that aligns with forward progress? Maybe it's automating a $25 transfer to savings. Maybe it's packing your lunch one more day a week instead of buying it. Maybe it's spending 30 focused minutes researching debt payoff strategies or budgeting apps. Define your momentum push, then make it happen. That tiny action is the start of something significant. Welcome to today's Transformation Dive, where we're unlocking the secrets to not just earning more, but flowing towards financial freedom. You know, everyone's chasing the latest stock tip, the hottest side hustle, the ultimate budget hack. And while those things have their place, what if I told you the real breakthrough isn't external? What if the biggest barrier between you and your financial goals isn't the market, isn't your income, isn't even your past mistakes, but something much closer to home? something you carry with you every single day. It sounds a bit dramatic, maybe even a little ironic, right? We're so focused on the numbers, the spreadsheets, the external actions, that we often completely overlook the invisible forces shaping our financial reality from the inside out. We're going to pull back the curtain on those forces today. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're ready to build real momentum, if you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think, and make sure you don't miss out on the next piece of the puzzle. And hey, while you're here, drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win. We're building a community here. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Okay, let's talk about power. Not the kind that comes from having a huge bank balance, though that's nice, but the fundamental power source behind your progress. You see, momentum in your financial life isn't purely about the external actions you take. It's not just opening that investment account, cutting expenses, or starting that side gig. Those are like the wheels on a car, the sails on a ship. Essential, yes, but they don't move without an engine. And the engine of your financial momentum? It's your internal state, your beliefs about money, your patience when things get tough, your ability to focus on what truly matters, your unwavering willingness to learn and adapt. These are the components of that engine. Think about it. If you deep down believe you're fundamentally bad with money, what kind of financial choices are you likely to make? Probably ones that reinforce that belief, right? You might avoid looking at your statements, make impulsive purchases because what's the point? Or shy away from learning because it's too complicated for me. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you shift that core belief, if you truly believe you can learn, you can improve, you can understand this stuff, you instantly unlock the possibility for forward movement. You start asking different questions. Instead of, "I'll never get out of debt," the internal engine sparks, and you start thinking, "Okay, what is the one next step I can take right now?" This isn't just a change in words. It's a fundamental internal shift that enables the external action. You might have all the right strategies laid out, the perfect budget spreadsheet. But if your mindset engine is sputtering on limiting beliefs, you're going nowhere fast. It's like having a Ferrari with a bicycle engine. Here's the surprising insight, the thing many people miss when they're frustrated by lack of progress. Your money story, those narratives you've built about wealth, or lack thereof, about your own capabilities, and your deeply ingrained limiting beliefs are often the primary source of inertia and friction in your financial life. It's not necessarily the lack of opportunity or income, it's the internal resistance. Changing your internal narrative isn't some fluffy, feel-good exercise. It is a crucial, foundational first step in building lasting momentum. It's like getting the engine tuned before you hit the gas. You can push a car without an engine, but it's incredibly hard, slow, and exhausting. Fire up that engine, and the same push moves it with ease. This isn't about positive thinking without action. It's about enabling effective action through empowering belief. So here's a concrete action for you right now, something that can begin to retune your engine. Identify one limiting belief you have about money, wealth, or your ability to manage it. Just one. It could be something you heard growing up, something that solidified after a past mistake, or just a quiet whisper of self-doubt. Write it down. Be honest. And then write down a potential counterstatement. This isn't about instantly believing the opposite. It's about creating a new possibility, a new pathway for your engine to run on. For example, if the belief is, "I'm terrible with money," The counterstatement could be, I am learning how to manage my money effectively, one step at a time. Or if it's rich people are greedy, maybe the counter is wealth can be built and used to create positive impact. This one habit of identifying and countering those internal limitations changed everything for me, shifting the focus from external struggle to internal power. Try this today. See what comes up. All right, we've covered the power of the internal engine, the surprising weight of limiting beliefs, and we've taken a first step in identifying those internal roadblocks. As we wind down this session, take a moment to just breathe and absorb. The one big takeaway from today, something I want you to carry with you, is this: true financial momentum starts within. All the external strategies, the savvy investments, the diligent budgeting, they are exponentially more powerful when fueled by a belief system that supports your growth rather than sabotages it. Think about the potential long-term benefit here. By consistently working on your mindset engine, you're not just solving today's money problem. You're building the psychological infrastructure for a lifetime of financial well-being. You're becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts opportunities, who handles setbacks with resilience, and who sees possibilities where others see only obstacles. This is a deeper insight about money, discipline, and growth. It's not about becoming a different person, but about shedding the layers of belief and fear that are obscuring the capable, resourceful individual you already are. Discipline isn't just about forcing yourself to do hard things. It's often the natural outcome of an empowered mindset. When you believe you can succeed, taking the necessary steps feels less like a chore and more like progress towards a compelling future. It's like training for a marathon. The physical training is crucial, but the mental game, the belief you can finish, is what actually gets you across the line. Keep reflecting on those limiting beliefs. Keep practicing countering them. Be patient and persistent with your inner work, just as you would be with your outer actions. Remember that every small shift in your perspective is a tune-up for your engine, adding more power and efficiency to your journey. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Okay, let's dive into section 11. You know that feeling when you check your bank account, or maybe your investment portfolio, especially early in your financial journey. Sometimes it feels like staring at a parked car. You know you want to go somewhere, but the destination is still miles away, and the number on the dashboard, your net worth, barely budges, or worse, it's pointing the wrong way. People often get discouraged because they're solely focused on that outcome metric, the net worth number. But here's a core concept that shifts everything. You don't just track the car's final destination. You track its speed and how far it's come on this trip. Similarly, tracking your money momentum isn't just about watching your net worth. It's about tracking the actions that build momentum. Think about fitness. Nobody gets ripped overnight. If you only tracked your weight on day one and then again a month later, you might feel like giving up, especially if the scale hasn't moved much. But if you track your workouts completed, the days you hit your step goal, or how many times you chose the apple over the donut, okay, maybe just the donut hole, that is tracking momentum. That's tracking the process. The same applies to your money. Did you stick to your tracking habit today? Did you make that planned extra payment on a debt, no matter how small? Did you save that small amount from your coffee budget? Did you take 5 minutes to learn something new about investing or compound interest? These are the actions that build financial speed and distance. Let's get really specific. Your momentum isn't just measured in dollars. It's measured in consistency. It's measured in doing the thing. Tracking how many days in a row you packed your lunch instead of buying that $15 sad desk salad? That's momentum. Logging the number of investment terms you looked up this week? Momentum. Simply checking off days you successfully avoided an impulse buy because you paused and asked yourself if you really needed it. Absolutely. That's financial momentum building. These might seem like small, insignificant ticks on a checklist compared to the giant goal of a six-figure portfolio or paying off a massive mortgage. But each tick is a rep. Each tick is a step forward. Here's the surprising insight, the financial myth bust, if you will. Focusing solely on outcome-based metrics like net worth, especially when you're starting out or digging out of debt, can be incredibly demotivating because the number is slow to change. But focusing on process-based metrics, like consistent habits, is often far more motivating and, crucially, a better indicator of future success. Why? Because you have direct control over your actions today, while the market, inflation, and large debt balances make outcome metrics feel out of your immediate grasp. Tracking your actions gives you wins every day or every week. It builds confidence and reinforces the behavior that will eventually move the outcome numbers. It's cause and effect. Consistent positive actions cause positive results over time. Staring at a stagnant result doesn't cause action. Tracking and celebrating your actions does. So here's the action for you this week. Something concrete you can do right now to start building real financial momentum. Try this for a week. Choose one habit-based metric, not a dollar amount, remember, to track that is related to your money goals. Are you trying to save more? Maybe track the number of times you successfully delayed an unnecessary purchase for 24 hours. Trying to get smarter about money? Track the number of minutes you spend reading or watching educational financial content daily. Want to improve your cash flow? Track every single expense for 7 days straight. Just the act of tracking is a habit. Don't focus on the total amount saved or spent. Focus on the consistency of the tracking habit itself. This one habit of tracking your process could change everything for you, shifting your focus from distant outcomes to empowering daily actions. Section 12. Title: Your next push starts now. So here we are. We've talked about shifting perspective, battling inertia, finding consistency, and even accelerating your growth. But all of that, every single strategy and mindset hack, boils down to one fundamental truth, one principle that separates those who dream of change from those who create it. And that principle is surprisingly simple. Money momentum, financial progress, whatever you want to call it. It all starts with consistent, deliberate action, no matter how tiny, beginning exactly from where you are right this second. Think back to that heavy car metaphor. Maybe you're staring at it, feeling overwhelmed, paralyzed by the sheer weight of your current situation. Debt, low income, lack of knowledge, whatever it is. Inertia is a powerful force, isn't it? Or maybe you've given it a small push, felt it budge, but then lost steam, inconsistency creeping in like a slow leak in a tire. Perhaps you've built some speed, things are rolling, but now you're battling friction. Unexpected expenses, old habits pulling you back. The daily grind, trying to kill your momentum. Or maybe, just maybe, you're looking for ways to add multipliers, to make that rolling car pick up speed exponentially. Wherever you are on that spectrum, the core message remains the same. You don't need permission, a perfect plan, or a sudden windfall to start. You just need to apply that simple principle. Take action. Consistent, deliberate action. It's accessible to everyone. The beginner feeling lost. The mid-earner juggling bills and dreams. The ambitious builder wanting to go faster. This principle is the invisible bridge between wishing for change and actually creating it, brick by tiny brick, push by tiny push. Ignoring this lesson? It's like standing by while that heavy car stays put. You risk staying stuck, watching the gap between where you are and where you desperately want to be widen, day after day, year after year. Financial anxiety remains a constant companion, a low hum of worry in the background. Opportunities that require resources or readiness pass you by because you lack either. You continue to feel that familiar, heavy, sinking feeling every time you think about your finances. Like being stuck in mud. It's a frustrating, often painful place to be. But if you embrace this principle, if you just start, everything changes. That heavy car begins to roll. Slowly at first, maybe imperceptibly, but it moves. The financial snowball you've heard so much about begins to grow, picking up speed and mass. The journey paradoxically gets easier, not because the challenges disappear, but because you are no longer fighting against the dead weight of inertia. You are harnessing momentum, building on your own progress. With each small win, each canceled subscription, each dollar saved, each moment of tracking, you build confidence. You create options you didn't have before, opening doors that were previously closed. You move from perpetually hoping for someday to actively, powerfully building today. The hardest part, universally acknowledged in fitness, business, or finance, is always the start. The first push, the decision to just do one thing. But once you make that first push, you can keep going. You discover that you possess an incredible power, the power to create your own financial force. You don't need a perfect plan drawn up by a guru, a massive salary jump tomorrow, or a sudden stroke of lottery luck. You just need to make the first, tiniest, most manageable push. So as we wind down today, I want you to ask yourself, what is the single, smallest, easiest, most ridiculously simple action you can take right now, today, in the next 5 minutes even, to start building your money momentum? Is it finding just one unused subscription to cancel? Transferring a single dollar, yes, just $1 to a savings account? Tracking your very next purchase, no matter how small? Opening your bank balance app and looking at it without flinching, just observing? Pick one. Don't overthink it. Don't plan the next 10 steps. Just pick the single easiest step. And then, do it. Right now. Your financial future isn't built in giant, overwhelming leaps that rarely happen. It's built in tiny, consistent determination, deliberate pushes that create unstoppable momentum over time. Your first push starts now. What is it going to be? Take that step. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around.